Milt of MF Metal Arts here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Vevor 10-inch digital microscope. Now, just letting you know that Vevor does not pay me to do this. I'm totally unaffiliated with them. I'm just a happy customer, and I paid for this out of my own money. They did not send me this for a review. I'm doing this because I'm pleased with this microscope. Anyways, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm a filigree artist, and I bought this to help me do quality control on my filigree jewelry, and we're going to show you a little bit about that shortly. So when you buy this, what do you get with it? Well, you get this microscope with a nice 10-inch diagonal screen. There's a little bit of assembly required, but it's quite simple. It only took me a few minutes. And what comes in the box with the microscope is an instruction booklet, a nice HDMI cable so that you can display this on an HDMI screen like your TV. There's a little Allen key to help you assemble it. There's 4 screws involved. And I'll show you this later, but a little sort of digital calibration thing. And there's also a USB cable. So just from a high level view, I'm going to turn this sideways. What I like about this is the construction is very sturdy. The main spine here is made out of metal. And I think the rest of it is probably plastic, but I found this very sturdy and stable, so that's not an issue. We can, with these knobs, raise the microscope up and down. There's a number of controls and USB slots back here. And you'll see me using these features as we talk more about the microscope. But again, features are that you can hook this up to your computer via a USB cable. You can hook it up to your TV with the HDMI cable that they provide. It's rechargeable, again, with the USB cable, either off your computer or a proper charger. And they claim that the battery lasts 5 hours. So let's turn this thing on. Here's the power button is under here. You can't see it, but it's easy to find. And it boots up very quickly. This is a wonderful 10-inch screen here, very clear, and I'll demonstrate that momentarily. And according to Vevor, it's a 1080p HD screen, and I'm just looking at the specs here. They claim magnification up to 1,300 times, and we're going to talk about that. I have a different view of what the magnification is. The focusing is manual, both here and by moving this guy up and down. You can take videos, and the video resolution is up to 1080p. You can take photos, and you can do various definition of the photos from 2 to 48 megabytes. The videos are in MP4 and the photos are JPEGs. The battery is claimed to last for 5 whole hours, so that's great. As I mentioned, I bought this to do quality control on my filigree, to help me look at a filigree piece while I'm making it. So let's first just see what the minimum is, and that's the minimum magnification. Okay, I've got this thing raised as high as possible. I've got it nicely focused. I'll show you that I can turn on this light. So there's a number of lights, and when I turn on the light and adjust the focus a little bit, we get a really, really good clean image. And there's also these side lights here. So there's, I believe, 8 LED lights in here and 2 more here. So the specs say there's 10 LED lights. I usually work without this light because I find that the ambient light in the studio plus these 2 little guys is good enough. So we'll play with the magnification. And this is a filigree piece that I made quite some time ago. And I've never, actually, this is the first time I've magnified it to look at it. And I'm going to show you that first, that was the minimum zoom in. And here I'm showing you that as I lower the unit and bring the lens closer and closer to the piece, I can get a lot more magnification. And I have to manually focus this. So there we go. And we're really getting in really close. Now I usually examine my filigree with a jeweler's loupe that's 10 times magnification. And so I thought it would be interesting to be able to really get right in there and look at the quality of my filigree work. So that's the optical zoom. That's as far as I could get in. And I'm just going to pull this out to remind you what we're looking at so that you can see what level of magnification we're already up to. Let's put this piece back in here and let's take a look there. And I can see things there's no way I've seen with the jeweler's loupe. So it gives me a really good look now at the work that I do. Now, here's what I can do at this point. There is also a digital zoom. So the kit includes a nice little remote, and I am going to zoom in even further. This is a really good solder joint. So I'm happy with the solder joints, and that's the maximum magnification. That's as close in as I can get. Right now, we're at the maximum optical zoom. That's without digital enhancement, and I'm looking at these solder joints, and I'm very pleased with them, but I'm not so happy here where that never got soldered closed. And this piece is a few years old. I've never looked at it at this level of magnification, but had I done this while I was making the piece, I would have caught that little problem and fixed it. Okay, so we can zoom in as we talked about. So let's zoom in a little more just for fun. Again, it's amazing how well I can see the quality of my filigree work now. All right, so one thing we can do is we can photograph this. So if I want to keep this, the SD card's inserted, and on the remote there's a photo button, and I'm just going to click it and you'll see something interesting happen. So I've clicked it, it's taken the photo, and it says capture success, but the magnification reduced. And what it did is it went back to the maximum optical zoom because the photography part of this does not take advantage of the digital zoom. And then I'll put the photo in, the actual photo in after. I'm going to also do a little recording. So I'm going to hit, again, there's a record button here. So I'm hitting record and it's counting down. 3, 2, 1, boom, I'm recording. I'm actually going to shut the camera down for a moment. There we go. And I am going to turn this sideways, and there's the SD card I talked about. You push it in and it clicks and then it pops out. And so here's the 32 gigabyte SD card. There's a screen here. Let's open it up again and press enter. There we go. And there's a whole bunch of options here. You can see photo resolution, movie resolution, exposure, date and time stamp. So there's a lot of adjustments that you can make. And again, I'm not going to go through all of those. I just want to give you a general idea of what this unit is capable of. Now, well, the last topic I wanted to cover with you is zoom or magnification. Now, Vevor advertises their digital microscope as having a zoom of 1,300 times, 1,300 times. Now that didn't make any sense to me, but I bought the unit anyways, and I figured I'd see if the zoom was adequate for me. And I'll tell you now, the zoom is adequate for me, but I have a different way of looking at zoom. So let's just talk about this, and I'll show you how I characterize zoom or magnification, and then I'll tell you what Vevor told me when I called them. So I'm just going to remove this guy from here, and we're going to take this all the way up to the top. So we're going to start with the minimum zoom or magnification. Okay, now when I bought this, one of the things that I mentioned earlier that it came with was this calibration card, and I'm just putting it on white so that it's easy to see. We'll have a quick look at it, and on this calibration card, you can see, and it's fairly clear, but this square on the card measures exactly 1 centimeter. And each one of these little divisions here, you can see there's a count from, let me give it a little more light and then it'll be a little clearer. Sorry. You can see there's a count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each one of those on the card down here is 1 millimeter. So if I were to measure how big it was here, what the length of that line was, I would call that the magnification. So I'm taking my digital caliper and I'm going to very carefully, and this is minimum zoom now, minimum optical zoom. I'm going to measure that. Don't have to do it perfectly. And I get, I think you can see, 5.75 on my digital caliper. So what that says is, what's 1 millimeter down there is 5.75 millimeters on this screen. So to me, I would call that a zoom of 5 to 1, or 5.75, right? A magnification of 5.75, because I took 1 millimeter and made it 5.75 millimeters. Okay, now let's go and look at first the maximum optical zoom. So we're going to look at that same little square that's got to take this all the way down to the bottom, and I'm there. And then we're going to manually focus. Whoops, got to get my fingers in there. We're going to manually focus. And now you can see that better also. So again, this from 0 to 1 is on that card down below is 1 millimeter. And I'm going to take my digital calipers again. And I'm maybe blocking out with my elbow here, but trust me. And I'm going to measure it. And now I get 15.78. In fact, no, I can't fit it under there. Maybe I can. Anyways, just trust me. It says 15.78. So what's 1 millimeter down below is almost 16 millimeters here. So with the optical zoom, to me, I'm getting a 16 times magnification. So that's how I look at that. And finally, what I'm going to do here is I am going to get my remote and activate the digital zoom and go to maximum zoom. So I've maximized the digital zoom here, okay? And I am going to do that same measurement. So that 1 millimeter comes out as 34.22 millimeters, 34.13 millimeters. Let's just call it 34. So in my mind, when I'm going from 1 millimeter up to 34 millimeters, I would call that a 34 times magnification or a 34 times zoom. Now, how does Vevor get 1300? Well, I contacted them, and I have to say prior to contacting them, I have to say I figured out what the answer was. But I contacted them and asked them the question. And the answer was, after a week of going back and forth, and their customer service was very helpful, very friendly, but after a week of going back and forth to try and get the right answer, so what their reply was in the end was that I was doing it linearly and they do it on an area basis. So let me try and explain that to you with my very high-tech little sketch here. If you think about what I'm saying is 1 millimeter, we magnified up to 34 millimeters. So 34 over 1 is 34 times. So to me, that's the maximum magnification, 34. So now I'll show you what Vevor is saying. Vevor is saying, no, you can't look at the linear. What you have to look at is the square. So you have to look at an area. So what they're saying is a 1 millimeter square would go up to a 34 by 34 millimeter square. So if you think of that, 1 millimeter times 1 millimeter is 1 millimeter squared. And 34 millimeters times 34 millimeters, well, it's about 1200 millimeters squared. So when you look at this on an area basis, my minimum zoom up to my maximum zoom increases almost 1200 times. And I guess if you play around with the numbers a little bit, you can get it up to 1300. So I hope what I just described here makes some sense to you. And it's not only Vevor who defines their magnification this way. If you go and look online, there's lots of these microscopes available, digital microscopes, and all of them talk about being 1100, 1200, 2000 times, and they're able to say that because they do it on an area basis. So am I fussed by that I can't really get what I thought was 1300? And the answer is no, because if I take a piece of my jewelry here, put that back up on screen, what I call 34 times magnification is ample and totally adequate for me. I'm very happy with this. This works. So if this level of magnification works for you, whether we call it 1300 or 34 or 35 times, really doesn't matter. It serves the purpose. It doesn't matter to me what that number is. That's my story on magnification. And so in summary, am I happy with this? Yes, I'm a very happy customer. I really like this unit. It really does serve my purpose, which is, again, as I mentioned earlier, primarily doing quality control on my filigree jewelry. And you have to determine if 34 times magnification is good enough for whatever you're looking for. So what do I like about this? To kind of summarize, I think that the overall construction is really good. It's sturdy. The controls work really well. The zoom, as I mentioned, is quite adequate for me, whether you call it 1300 times or 34 times or whatever you want to call it. It's quite adequate for me. The resolution of this screen is really good. I really like the size of it, 10-inch. Most of these online units that I saw from other vendors were about 7 inches, and they go down as low as 4. I really like the size of this screen. I can take photos with it. I can take videos with it, and I was satisfied with the resolution of both the videos and the photos. I can connect it to a PC, or I can make it super big and connect it to my 70-inch HDMI TV. which I did not demonstrate for you, but it's available. The cost to me is very reasonable. I live in Canada, so on Vevor Canada, this unit's 190 Canadian dollars or 195 Canadian dollars with free shipping. And on the Vevor USA website, the same unit is 130 US dollars, again, with free shipping. And it took about 3 days, if I remember right, for this unit to come to me. So this is a really good unit, meets my needs, and to me, price-wise is very reasonable. So that's why I bought this, and I'm keeping it. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Vevor didn't send this to me for free. They didn't pay me to do this video. I'm not affiliated with Vevor. I'm a happy customer, and I decided to do a little review on a unit that I bought and paid for myself. So thanks very much for listening to me to the end. And again, it's Milt Fishbein of MF Metal Arts here. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can also have a look at me on Instagram at MF Metal Arts. Thanks very much, and see you next time.